From the studio in Nitro, West Virginia, this is Unreasonable Doubt. It's a podcast about West Virginia University basketball. I'm Josh Witt. What did we just watch? What was that? I mean, it was sick. It was a win. West Virginia gets a win. It was a win in the most sick way possible. And coming into this game, things just seemed off. I plop on the couch 8 p.m., 8:30 tip tonight. In that half an hour, here's what felt off to me. First of all, we're playing 8:30 on a Tuesday night home game. Not in the central time zone. 8:30 makes more sense. Morgantown, 8:30, coming off a snowstorm. West Virginia, quick turnaround from a Saturday game where they were in Arizona. Weather's bad, school canceled today. But I sit down at 8 o'clock and Wake Forest and Pittsburgh is on. So I'll catch that. Pittsburgh's been struggling. As a WVU fan, that's not the worst thing in the world to experience. And I watch Wake Forest, who beat West Virginia soundly in the Charleston Civic Center last month, go to overtime with this 8-12 Pitt team and lose. And the Deeks are now 11-10 and 2-6 in the ACC. So in your mind, Wake Forest took care of a team that's 5-3 in the Big 12. They got to be doing good, right? Weird. Sick. Then West Virginia plays on Fox Sports 1. The 6:30 game is Michigan State Rutgers. Rutgers is somehow up on the ranked Spartans. They have a 7-point lead with under 3 minutes left. And Michigan State claws back, sends the game to overtime, gets a open corner three as the time's winding down. So, the good news for Fox Sports 1 is that there's a Fox Sports 2. So they announced that that's where the game will start. What's on Fox Sports 2 at 8:40 on a Tuesday night? I'll tell you. It's a live broadcast of a under-17 CONCACAF women's soccer game between Aruba and Jamaica. Like in the corner, it said live. That's what was going on. There were people watching, in theory, and I have no idea where that game was being played, but it was, I'm guessing, either Aruba or Jamaica, but maybe not. It could have been somewhere else in the world. That got preempted, or that with like 10 minutes left in the game. Hey, I know you've been watching this game for 80 minutes, this under-17 CONCACAF women's soccer game. We're going to move that to what they said was Fox 1, which is different than Fox Sports 1 because it's not sports. But the soccer game is a sport, but it's on Fox 1. I don't know how to get Fox 1. There's too many Foxes, including Fox 1. But I guess there's enough Foxes because I got to watch the beginning of this game on Fox Sports 2. And sorry to those watching Aruba, Jamaica, under 17. And the game comes on Fox Sports 2, and Kansas State is in the lavender jerseys, which is sick and seems like a bad omen. I feel like when they break out those lavender jerseys, and I don't have anything to base this on other than I believe they're undefeated. They've never lost in the lavenders, and here they are in Morgantown. They broke them out. So all that is weird. Not a minute of basketball has been played. All right? Something's off. And matter of fact, Ross Hodge, Tony Caridi was saying when he talked to Ross Hodge after the game, hey, Coach Hodge, you were saying it was going to be a weird night. Paraphrasing. So even Hodge knew before all that stuff. He didn't know that Aruba and Jamaica was happening on Fox Sports 2, but he knew something was going to be goofy tonight. And guess what? West Virginia goes almost 6 minutes before scoring their first points of the game. First TV timeout, West Virginia hasn't scored at home. Finally score before the 14-minute mark. Then Brennan Lorient gets his second foul and has to sit. Then Amir Jenkins, who doesn't start, he had 2 fouls right after that, got his second. He had to sit. And West Virginia didn't score for the first 6 minutes of the game, and somehow West Virginia's up 6 at the half. How? Honor Huff got it going for the first time in a while. Hit 4 threes in the first half. P.J. Haggerty, Kansas State's leading scorer, and I think the Big 12's leading scorer, I believe they said that. He didn't have a point in the first half. So 6 minutes of not scoring to start the game, take a 6-point lead to the half, extend it to 10, and Lorient's back in, and he's scoring. But then Haggerty, he's not going to go scoreless. He gets going. Kansas State erases the lead. Brennan Lorient gets a basket close to, like in the paint, with 10:19 left, and West Virginia's up 4. You remember that first part of the game where West Virginia didn't score for 6 minutes? How about 7 minutes? In the second half, Lorient with the layup with 10:19 left. West Virginia goes over 7 minutes or close to 7 minutes. It's a long time. It doesn't matter if it's under 7, over 7. If you're saying 7 minutes of playing time without a basket, without a point, not just a basket, they didn't get to the free throw line. Kansas State hadn't fouled. I don't think they fouled in those 7 minutes. So 5-minute stretch to start the game with no scoring. 7-minute stretch in the second half. There's only 40 minutes in the basketball game. And if I told you, hey, 5-minute scoring drought in the first half, 7-minute scoring drought in the second half, what do you think the score is with 4 minutes left? You'd say it's over. West Virginia cut to the Arizona game. They're down 30. And because of the defense and because of Kansas State and me telling you that their coach said they are great hanging around each other off the basketball court. When they're on the court, not good chemistry. So that has something to do with it. But with 12 minutes of not scoring, West Virginia was only down 4. That's not great to be down 4 in the last few minutes of the game. But if you didn't score for 7 minutes, not bad. Amazing, actually. And then this is how West Virginia finishes the game in truly sick fashion. Trace and Eaglestaff did not have the touch tonight, had open looks, couldn't make them. First possession after the last TV timeout, he gets an offensive rebound, gets a putback to cut the lead of Kansas State to 2. Then West Virginia gets a stop. And then Chance Moore, off a miss, gets a offensive rebound jump ball. West Virginia takes it out of bounds, gets it to Lorient down low, feels the double, throws it out to Eaglestaff, who hasn't hit a shot. Open 3. Swish. I say he hadn't hit a shot. He got the putback. Gets it open 3, swishes it. West Virginia has the lead. Then Eaglestaff gets a steal on the other end, digs the ball out, gets it to Chance Moore, who got shot out of a cannon, coast to coast, gets fouled. He cannot make 2 free throws in a row, but he makes 1. West Virginia is up 2. And good news, there's another weird thing. Chance Moore made all of his dunks tonight. I think those were the only dunks for West Virginia. West Virginia, 100% shooting dunks. Talked about it on the podcast. That's not been a thing that West Virginia's been able to do. Make all the dunks. Chance Moore took it in his own hands. Every dunk he attempted, he made it. And then West Virginia gets another stop. And then it's Honor Huff time. And Honor Huff, with some switches, gets the ball. And he's had a quiet second half. had 4 threes in the first half, wasn't able to get it going for 16, 17 minutes of the second half. But they want him to have the ball late, gets the switch he wants, drives left, shakes a defender, steps back, hits a three-point shot. And that's not luck. He does that. And Honor Huff finished with 17 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. And West Virginia now has a 5-point lead. Then Haggerty, who didn't score in the first half, finished with 16, hits a quick three, cuts it to 2. And the next possession for West Virginia, and this describes many possessions for West Virginia tonight, the ball gets stuck. This time it was in the right corner. But many times a night, is there a pivot offense? Because West Virginia did a lot of pivot offense. And the pivot offense is you get the ball, you lose your dribble, and you pivot around trying to find somebody open to pass it to because you're not going to shoot it. Remember that game? Remember in Tempe where Lorient did like 3 whirls around and then shot the ball? No, everybody did the whirls tonight, but nobody shot it out of the whirls. It was like, please, somebody else take the ball. That wasn't this possession. I just had to point that out because it was, again, 12 minutes of not scoring the ball. But this time, Laureate gets the double, finds a cutting Trayson Eaglestaff, cutting towards the basket. Eaglestaff misses the layup, gets his own rebound, gets bumped, makes a shot. Eaglestaff just in a game where he didn't have it. And then, not going to beat this to death, earlier this season when he didn't have it, he just got pulled. He stays in the game, gets to the rim, makes an important three, gets multiple offensive rebounds in winning time, and he puts West Virginia up 5 with 43 seconds left. And Eaglestaff finished with 12 points, 9 rebounds. Lorient finished with 10 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists after sitting a lot of the first half in foul trouble. And up 5, 43 seconds left, that's not cake. It was sick in those last 43 seconds. I told you Kansas State hadn't fouled, so they were having to foul and foul and foul to get West Virginia to the bonus. Honor Huff goes to the line, misses the front end of a 1-on-1, and yet WVU still ends up winning this game by 5. I think I saw the Dos Equis guy, the most interesting man in the world. They brought that back. That was weird. Just so much weird, so much sick. But West Virginia finishes the game with more points than Kansas State. They held Kansas State to their lowest point total of the season in a game. And West Virginia, they're not Houston yet. Because of the slow pace that they play at, they had this ability, if you are not making shots, and that feels like that's a given that you're not going to score a lot if you don't make a lot of shots. But West Virginia did that to Kansas State tonight, did that to Colorado, did that to Arizona State, holding them to their lowest point total of the season. They had that ability. And they needed to tonight. And that shouldn't be a weird thing. If I gave you the scenario, hey, West Virginia didn't score for 5 minutes and 7 minutes, what's it looking like? But then I tell you at the end of the game, West Virginia played a team and neither team got to 60. Who has more points? You'd say West Virginia. So that shouldn't be weird. It doesn't matter. That's over. West Virginia is now 5-3 in Big 12 play with 10 games left in the regular season. West Virginia is undefeated at home. I thought this was a must-win. They're undefeated in must-win games. And West Virginia still has a path to the bubble. There's no sign of them in the bracket matrix. But keep getting wins and get some resume wins. It doesn't get you in. It's a path to the bubble. And this game was a throwback to this is a prime Bob Huggins coach WVU game. It had that feel. This had a Huggy Bear feel. Clogged pipe offense, but tough as nail defense, getting big rebounds. Ross Hodge was giddy after this game. He knew it was going to be weird, but he also, in his postgame press conference, said it was a masterpiece. Like, he was pumped that West Virginia won 59-54, which Bob Huggins, he wasn't pumped, but he gave the wry smile. Like, he felt good to play in the 50s, whatever. If it's tough and you're the tougher team, and Ross Hodge's team, they were tougher. I mean, Honor Huff's out there getting a bunch of rebounds. Eagle staff with almost a double-double. Impressive. And West Virginia scored 59. They scored 86 against the other Kansas team earlier this month. West Virginia did not have their A game. And some of that, shout out to Kansas State. Ross Hodge gave them a ton of credit as he does. But all that weird that I mentioned, 12 minutes of scoring droughts. Ugasuk saw some first half minutes. Jasper Floyd should have went full pirate. He had a black eye. He should have wore an eye patch. But West Virginia finished with more points than the other team. And West Virginia's still in the top half of the Big 12, which is awesome. Have you ever searched yourself online? I've done it. I haven't liked what I've seen. The results could be surprising and sometimes unsettling. Your phone number, your home address, even details about your family are out there, whether you agreed to it or not. That's because data brokers are collecting and selling your information to marketers, scammers, and basically anyone willing to pay. Aura fights back. They remove your personal data from broker sites and keep it off. Aura also alerts you fast if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. And if your identity is ever stolen, you are backed by up to $5 million in insurance and 24/7 US-based fraud support to help you recover quickly. Right now, you can try Aura free for 14 days when you visit aura.com/remove. That is enough time for Aura to start removing your personal information from data broker sites. Sign up today at aura.com/remove and get the peace of mind that your privacy, identity, and finances are safeguarded. That's aura.com/remove. Certain terms apply. See the site for details. Random thoughts for this episode of Unreasonable Doubt. We got an answer on Jackson Fields. I asked last episode, where's he at? What happened? Someone asked Ross Hodge in his press conference yesterday what was going on with Jackson Fields. We haven't seen him since the Houston game. And Hodge admitted Fields is a rotation casualty. He said Lorien's playing well, Obioha's playing well. But he did leave it open because Jackson Fields missed a number of games to start the season due to an injury to pursue a medical redshirt. Don't ask me how the redshirt rules work. I don't get it. But apparently they've researched it. And if he plays even one more game, he probably cannot get a redshirt season. But if he doesn't play, and that's what Hodge is saying in the in the press conference yesterday, is it worth it playing him 2 or 3 minutes, getting him spot minutes sometimes when he has the opportunity possibly to get another season in college? That makes sense. I trust that they know how it works. But that leaves the door open for another retention candidate for Ross Hodge. And he doesn't have a ton, but Jackson Fields wasn't one of them coming into this season. And here we are with those comments. Jackson Fields absolutely doesn't have to come back to Morgantown, but he could. And I'm game to find out. I have no idea what we have in Jackson Fields. He hasn't got a fair shake this season. And it hasn't worked out. And Ross Hodges spoke to that. He's not getting minutes because other guys are playing better. I'm saying there's a chance where there's not a ton of candidates to bring back. There's one extra, and it's Jackson Fields. Also, and I have to say this in the microphone, it's on my heart. I consume a lot of media, a lot of sports talk, uh, other podcasts about different subjects. We have an obvious epidemic happening, and not it's it's. I'm not saying it's obvious that there's an epidemic. I'm talking about the word obvious and the adverb obviously. Those words, obvious and obviously, get used a ton. Too much for my taste. And I don't know why it's happening. I'll ask you, listener, how much do you use the word obvious? And if you use it a lot, why are you doing that? And don't tell me that it's obvious that you say obvious a lot, because you're just feeding the beast there. And I can't hear you, but I would just think about it. Is it a tick of like, well, when I say something out loud, I don't want them to think that I'm dumb or that I am saying something that is obvious? Because if there's an epidemic of the word obvious, it means it's being used too much. I just want there's so many problems in the world, but the there's so many issues in the world. So this isn't high on the list. I have to be honest, but can we chill out with obvious? It's not aimed at any particular person. I see it on TV. I hear it on radio. I hear it on podcasts. There's so much use of the word obvious. I have verbal tics too. The amount of times I say so to transition, I don't like that. I'm sure there's others, but obvious is when I hear obvious, it's not obvious. A large percentage of the time. And let's just chill out. And the way to chill out is just not starting a sentence with obviously. Just start there. Just say what's on your mind. And I get to determine if that's obvious or not. And I don't take offense at that. And I'm not going to tell you if it's obvious or not. It's just too much obvious. For me, bigger fish to fry. But for me, too much obvious. Unreasonable Doubt is under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Go to smokingmusket.com. Read posts about WVU sports, daily throwdown. Check that out. Go to the Discord. We're talking about WVU sports and other stuff on the Smoking Musket Discord. Link for that is in the show notes. Listen to West by Pod, the WVU football podcast under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Do all that stuff. Smoking Musket. The next game for WVU, obviously, is Saturday, 4 p.m., ESPN2, Hope Coliseum, back-to-back home games where West Virginia is undefeated, and the Mountaineers will play the Baylor Bears. And Baylor plays, as of this recording, at Cincinnati tomorrow. They're doing the 2-game East Coast swing that will start in Cincinnati. Then they come to Morgantown. There is a possibility that the Baylor Bears, who have been a mainstay in the top half of the conference for a long time, and Scott Drew has a national championship, they could come into Morgantown Saturday 1-7 in Big 12 play, which is not great. West Virginia's 5-3. So they're many games behind WVU in the Big 12 standards, regardless of what happens at Cincinnati tomorrow. But their current start to Big 12 play, 1-6, it's the worst start since the 2013-14 season for Baylor in conference. And guess what? In the 2013-14 season, Baylor finished 9-9 in Big 12 play after starting 1-6. And that team had 4 NBA players on its roster. I don't know how many NBA players are on this year's Baylor team, but at least one of their players was drafted in the NBA draft in 2023. James Nyanji, midseason addition to Baylor, 2023 NBA draft pick. He's a center. He has G League experience. He has overseas professional experience. Deemed eligible by the NCAA, 4 seasons of eligibility remaining. He's 21 years old. Good for him. So Baylor will at least have one NBA guy because he got drafted in the draft 3 years ago. 4 of Baylor's 6 Big 12 losses are to the big dogs: Iowa State, Houston, Kansas, Texas Tech. And they've been swept by TCU. That gives you Baylor's 6 losses. And Scott Drew did not bring back any returning points or minutes from last season's team. All transfer portal guys, plus a talented freshman guard, because that's what Scott Drew can do, and the NBA draft pick guy who's playing in college. And the metrics for Baylor: good shooting, graded offensive rebounding, like good offensive numbers. They scored 110 points, 110 or more 4 times this season. Yeah, it was against cupcakes, but 110 points in the game is 110. That's impressive. So they can score the ball. Their defensive numbers are bad. They don't turn teams over. They don't keep other teams from getting offensive rebounds. Teams don't get a lot of threes off against Baylor, but when they shoot them, it's at a high percentage compared to the average. TCU went to Waco this weekend, scored 97 on Baylor. Now, does that mean anything about how it's going to go on Saturday? Kansas State has bad defensive metrics, and West Virginia didn't get to 60 tonight and had those, that 5-minute no scoring, 7-minute no scoring against statistically a bad defense. They scored 59 tonight. But can West Virginia get a little more offense? A little less time not scoring and keep up a good defense? And can West Virginia get to 6-3 in the Big 12? We'll find out. That's it for this episode of Unreasonable Doubt. Listen on all the platforms, or just pick one: Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Overcast Podcasts, Pocket Cast Podcasts, YouTube. Until next time, I'm Josh with WVU. For the 2025-2026 season, they have 14 wins, and they have 7 losses.